Moving on to familiar themes and frustrations across our community. Drug addiction, homelessness.
Mental health. We've heard a lot about what causes crime, but experts tell us there's a lot we don't know.
So we sent our Patrick Hayes to get some answers and find out what is really causing our crime crisis.
9441 Alameda, 9441 Alameda.
Crime stats show us that crime is down in a lot of categories, but not violent crime. In 2019, 82 people were killed in the metro, most of them shot to death. News like that is getting the attention of business owners like Joseph Estrada.
They want us to be business owners, they want us to operate businesses, but at what point do we start saying, okay, enough is enough?
So what's causing people to commit crime? An expert at N.M says it's complicated. We have to look at things on a case-by-case basis.
People point to these large causes: poverty, homelessness, mental health, substance use, socioeconomic differences. And I think that you can point to those really broadly, but we need to better understand these at a micro level.
The problem has the full attention of the metro area's top cops, Bernalillo County Sheriff Manny Gonzalez and Albuquerque Police Chief Mike Geier.
With violent crime is a little different because you're talking more of the character of the person. And that can be anything from their upbringing as a child, broken homes, lack of education, who they hang with, whether it's like gang-related issues.
Gonzalez tells us his department is helping whenever possible with targeted patrols within city limits.
We're getting solicited for phone calls constantly, and we're meeting those needs by setting up our operations and tailoring those operations to those specific areas that would be considered hotspots by law enforcement.
Sheriff Gonzalez says the criminals on our streets have underlying problems that need to be addressed.
85% of those people are either have an addiction to drugs or alcohol, and those are major factors. You got to figure out ways to get these people resources or help that want it, and the people that don't, hold them accountable.
And some people are just, they turn evil at different points of their lives, and so that's another factor that we have to address.
We are way behind when it comes to dealing with issues around violent crime.
Late last year, Mayor Tim Keller announced the Violence Intervention Plan, a partnership between APD, prosecutors, social service providers, and community partners. The goal is to break the cycle of violent crime before it happens. N.M researcher Paul Guerin says identifying effective strategies is key.
So one of the topics in class actually looks at more of the causes to crime. And I think in the class on policing, we're trying to figure out the effective strategies. So if we're going to try to impact crime or reduce crime, how would we do that most efficiently?
Guerin believes figuring out the reasons behind last year's homicides could help prevent future murders. And there's plenty to look at.
We had a full homicide call-out resulting from a domestic violence situation.
A large number of 2019's homicides, like the murder of Krishana Perez on January 16th, involved domestic violence.
You make a choice when you choose to use drugs, and that's what's happening to our community.
Some involve drugs, like the murder of 45-year-old Jose Diaz, who was shot in his work truck near the Big I back in July. Police say Donald Duquette, another driver, was high on meth and delusional when he pulled the trigger.
There was a man who was putting a woman into a chokehold.
And some involved perfect strangers, like the murder of 33-year-old Leopoldo Jaquez back in September near N.M. Police say Jaquez was rushing to help a girl who was getting choked and beaten by her teenage boyfriend, Donovan Santiago, when Santiago shot Jaquez.
I'm not sure that any of us really understand, those murders. So what portion of those murders are stranger-on-stranger murders? What portion of those murders do people know each other? What's the immediate incident preceding the murder? What weapons are used? And I think if we better understood those kinds of things, murders just being one example, we could better come up with strategies to prevent them and to reduce them in the future.
With this ABQ Forward Team Report, I'm Patrick Hayes.